inside the mine, White Canyon. This is Dead Cow Gully. Basically, my throat's a bit scratchy. You got a bit of a just a bit of sore throat just from breathing in that cold air, and just always get it when you run on the trails and do a decent distance. I managed 49 hours, so like 200 miler. So you always get you just get sometimes breathing in the air, the dust. You can get a bit of a rundown, cold, head cold. When you finish, when you're trying to recover. I've been back at work the last 2 days, back working there, so that's been always a fun bit of back to reality. Caused probably a little bit of swelling of the shin and a little bit on the feet and toes, just from being on your feet all day again. But overall, body's healing up fine once I stopped and got some food back into me. Managed to recorrect it. I was pretty much good, 5 or 6 hours later, I guess, or after James kind of finished, and then we got a good rest and things like that, and then a bit more food into me throughout that period, basically back to recovery. So anyway, I know I've skipped forward there a bit, but basically, yeah, when I stopped, I had multiple stomach issues and just felt flat, like I kind of recently talked about in one of my posts, but just felt like I had nothing in the tank, like just running on empty. And yeah, I was trying, the food was good. I was eating plenty of food. I made heaps of nice dishes. That wasn't too much of the issue. I guess you can always have more varieties and different things you can bring, but overall I had enough food. I just think the liquid side of nutrition I got to look into a bit more. I'll probably never be, everyone knows me, I hate the stuff. Never like the powders and the gels, but obviously Pure is the brand that I really love and been using that, but I still find it hard to stomach, the probably the proper amounts of it that you're meant to be having all the time. So I'm going to just look into that a little bit more just to fuel up, and I think that would be definite, benefit to my game for the next level, going to the bigs. Um, yeah, that's probably, I think, my biggest thing. And probably, doing down under, doing Sydney, you never really recover as well because they're so close. I know that because, I've done that. People know me from doing that for years, where I used to do multiple events, one after the other, close. And sometimes I'd win, sometimes I wouldn't. But I think I've got to just pick and choose now if I want to succeed and really push above and do that, like break the world record like I wanted to be. I should have been there doing that. Like I'm gonna have to just be a bit more smarter. Otherwise, I'm always gonna get the same result. So I guess I've got to evolve as an athlete too, to change a few things to get to that next level, and that'll mean more specific prep. Don't go into an event fatigued from another one that was only 4 weeks before it, things like that. But overall, yeah, I still I pushed as good as I could do. I pumped it. I was doing I don't know how many laps. I was just running along and just dry reach, and I just run along going ugh! Like just yeah. It was heaps of people heard me out there. It was just I don't know. I just felt off, so just flat. And yeah, I just persevered for about 8 hours. I don't know, ages the whole night, all through. And then in the end, I just had nothing. I was just over it. And I just thought, there's no way I'm going to get to where I want to get, like my 100 hours, 100 plus hours. I just thought, if obviously I look back on it now, as you do, whenever you stop, you think, oh, you should have just kept pushing through. And it might have come good. I just couldn't see it getting good. Didn't come good for so long unless something drastic changed. But that's on me as well. Like I'm always my worst critic. I am spewing. I didn't keep going, and just see if it did keep coming until you just literally dropped out there. But I guess I was thinking smart, like I said in the other video about not wanting to get injured to be better for the next adventure. I'm going to the snow, a couple of days with the family next week. So that was also there. Didn't want to end up in the hospital or medical centre or something where I missed that. It's been a planned holiday for ages. So, you got things like that. But, you just take it into consideration. I've been my worst critic. I also been my biggest trainer. I'm the one that tells myself what we need to change. I'm the one that, makes the changes. No one's going to make the changes really like the big changes other than you. So that's one thing I know. Like you can get coaches, you can get people who are going to tell you, write your programs. That's all well and good. No one's going to do the hard work. You got to do it. So I'll look into a few things and I'll recorrect and I'll come back stronger. There's no doubt about that at all. And I know I've got world championship material. I know I've got bloody, a legacy to finish. I've done things that has shocked myself, and I know there's more to come. So I'm looking forward to that next chapter. Anyway, that's enough about me. Let's move on to a bit more of the race. So yeah, throughout the race, there's so many good things. Like you see what I really love about it is you see so many people just pushing their own limits, and I love watching people's faces, like as sick as it is, like when they're just suffering and dying, you're like, he's feeling that, like look at that, he is suffering, and like even though like you feel sorry, like that sucks because I know I've been there, I'm thinking that he's getting the growth right there. That's where it's at. That's why you're here, that's where you get stronger in the fire. So seeing people's, and hearing people's stories, like, my mate Jimmy B, James, he smashed it again, watching him suffer, helping him suffer, providing things that are going to, make him suffer more, but you're helping him get through it, you're icing him, rubbing him, whatever, he's jacked up and he's on borrowed time, but you keep trying to get more out of him, keep seeing what limits they can push the human body, and they keep, it just keeps going, like, Phil and Sam, just quickly get sidetracked off that. It's over now. It finished today. Unbelievable achievement. I think it was 118 hours, so new world record. Just both warriors kept pushing. There's so many aspects to that, but there's they were the last two. There was so many other warriors as well. Like even people that didn't even get high numbers. Jonathan Ash, he got a massive number. He cracked 100. From the SAT champs. I met him the other year at Perth, and he's a top bloke. I told him I knew he could do it. He was so close before, getting the 80s or whatever he got at SAT champs. Seeing people like him just keep charging, persevering, looking for ways in their strategies and their game to get better. I know being, working with Phil's team a bit, seeing how they operate, which is obviously, been a big part of seeing, learning things off other people and what they do, that helps you evolve and get better yourself, and you make your own version, your own way. James's partner, Kitty, you'll probably end up watching this, Kitty, absolute legend you are. That was phenomenal seeing that. It reminded me of my story with Michelle, my wife, when we did a 200 mile and pushing the boundaries when you haven't run much distance. And like James said, I think you only done like 30 kilometers and then pushed through and smashed 100K, did the 15 loops. And I passed you a few times. I remember and looked dead in your face, and I could see the suffer and hurt you're in. You just had your head down, just grinding, like as in you were really hurting. But I could see the strength and determination and just the will to keep pushing through. And that was where it's at. That's what gives me like the inspiration as well. Like, everyone try the best and involving, because it's not about being the best. It's not about being the winner. It's about, being the best you, being, better at whatever your art is that you're trying to do, and always striving. There's no shortcuts. Like I just picked up my boy from a sports day too, just off topic, and he was disappointed he didn't get a ribbon. I said, who cares? It's not about the ribbon. I said, did you try? And he goes, yeah, but I'm just not good at stuff, like good at it. I said, well, the only way you're going to get good at it is if you train it, work on the things that you're weak at, and then you'll get better. And just giving him that talk as well. And that's what it's there. I've seen people that were overweight out there, and I think I heard a story. Someone was telling me there was a guy overweight, and he was suffering and charging back, and he just made it. And then he said to someone or something that he shouldn't even have been out there because he's unfit and overweight. And I was thinking it's the complete opposite. It's the exact reason why you're out there, because you want to challenge yourself. You want to see where you're at. So even if you're at the very bottom and you've suffered and you got nothing and you're the weakest person out there, that's okay. Yeah, it's going to suck. It feels crap. It feels crap when I stop, but you're going to also see what you need to work on, and you're going to see okay, where am I stuffing up? What needs to be done? And sometimes we need to be knocked the hell down to figure out ways to get back up stronger. And like that's what I got out of my mission. I hated it. I was so like 49 hours. Like everyone's like, you know, 200, to me it was like rubbish. It was like not even close. It was, you know, it wasn't even worth even considering about being happy about the goal. My first goal was only 100. That was it. There was no other goal. 100 plus. The first stop was 100, and then when we get to 100, then we begin the game. And then I'd enjoy the process of how far deep down the rabbit hole we can go. And not even getting to 100, it was just a disappointment. But I had to once again look at it for what it is, see it what it is, and just, you know, face it, face the smack in the face, and face what you got to change. And you know they're all there. The elements are all there. You know, the hydration, you know, the nutrition, the bloody, you know, the events close to each other. You know, there's the more the setup's better. The crew, I had crew like my crew. This is another thing. I'll go in now to crew. Like had awesome people that are crew. Grant, my best, you know, one of my good mates that just, you know, smashed down under and did that mission with him. Just a legend. He helped me, but and he did fantastic for what he knew how to do, or how we both knew how to work with each other, because we haven't been with each other long, you know, as in crew wise. So, you know, to have an unbelievable crew, I see now people like Phil and, you know, Jonathan were doing their work, you know, everything's organized, so it saves time in explaining stuff. Like I had a little list, but not much. So, you know, you're burning energy, you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. You should, because you're the athlete, you should be resting. I shouldn't have to be working out, things like that. But that's not their fault. They don't know that. They're only, you know, they're volunteering, doing the best they can do for you. So, you know, I had Simone, which was Glenn, it was James's crew, and Simone was helping them as well. And she jumped in and crewed me through the night until Shannon was finished, and go into that in a minute. But and she did a fantastic job too. Like she crewed me a bit in Sydney, unbelievable job. But it's hard when you don't know each other. You know, we're getting to know each other, but you don't know each other deeply enough to find the triggers. Like she was asking me stuff, you know, should I be yelling at you, telling you to get up, and different things previously before, and I was telling her yes, and she did. She got me out of the bed multiple times when I was hating. I said I'm done, and she pushed me on. So she did a great job. But there's just little elements we can continue to always work on to make the crew and everything stronger. On the voice. Yeah, another one. Anyway, going back off, continuing the crew, but still back on the performances, was Shannon. She's another one. So she ran for 17 hours, beat her PB, smashed her, and then, you know, we only got some sleep, and then come back and crewed me. Like, so that's the kind of thing that you love in the community. Like, it's crazy. Like, she's butchered, but it's still, even before she did the race, she was, you know, more invested in helping me. And you know, she knew that she wanted to be a part of, you know, me, my crew, and she's the person, to be honest, that knows me the best at the moment, with like in how the crew needs to be operated. And she, you know, she does an unbelievable job. But you know, it's hard when you're only one person too. Like she obviously ran first, but even if she was there, it's only one person. She can't just crew for, you know, 4 days straight on your own, like without help. So you need these other people, you know, to help you. And that's another thing, like people with crew, if you've got an advantage over someone. If you say I've only got one crew, or tag in and out one person, and you got someone that's got 3 or 4 crew member, it's not, you know, they've got an advantage over you. There's no doubt about that. Like, I'm not denying that at all. Like, but there's no rules in that. You can have as many as you want, but you know, that's another advantage people have over other athletes. Like, it's the same as when people were bringing freaking motorhomes in and things like that compared to the gazebos. Like, you know, because people that have more money go, oh, I'll just hire out the Rolls Royce of bloody motorhomes, park it in. I've got power. I've got a shower, toilet. You know, it's a disadvantage to people that can't afford it or don't do it. So you got to kind of have, I think, a bit of the same thing. And this was all gazebos, which was all good, and that's how it should be. Even at Lazar's, it's gazebos. There's no motorhomes, things like that. A lot of them don't let you do the motorhomes these days anyway. I think they kind of realise it is a bit unfair advantage. If you're going to bring them, you got to have them out on the paddock and, you know, away from the start corral, which is fine. I don't mind that. You can do that because then you can just walk over there, do whatever, but you're not at least at the start line. I'll go into, well, now probably a bit of maybe the reverse loop. The reverse loop, that sounds like a good one. The reverse loop, I didn't mind it. Like, I don't love it. As in, everyone asked me, I said, I don't like it. I like the other one, but I didn't mind it for the fact that you got to do a loop anyway. So it don't matter which way you go, up a hill, round the bend, bloody whatever, out and back. It's just you still got to do a loop. So that's the 6.7 is the challenge. So wherever they do, obviously some courses suck more than the others. The reverse loop for me, I didn't like for the fact that you do get in a rhythm. You do figure out the points and spots that you get to on your watch in the time. If you're looking at following some stuff, and then when it gets reversed, it's a bit different. So you probably got to do the maths and work out things like that. Which, to be honest, for me, I don't even really do that stuff that much anyway. I look at the time here and there. I just have my watch set on time. Actually, I don't even watch my pace. I just look at the time. It says like 9:33 or whatever, and then I know how long to get back within the hour. So I have little strategies I do use, but yeah, I probably prefer the other way better. I actually didn't think we were doing it, but then I heard the gong. Tim bangs a drum, I think, with an axe, so that signifies going the opposite direction. So it's still the same course, same route. You're just going back the other way, and I think the reverse loop, I find it has that slower incline up, the same as the night loop, which is, I'll get into that then. Now roll into that, like as you're coming back up that way, the same as the reverse way. The night loop, you go out and turn around and come back, and it's a bit of a slow gradual up before it goes down, but then it rolls down and you get back quick. So I like the night course this year. I thought it was great. No bloody high vis vest, none of that. So then it was quite easy. It was a good part of the Dead Cow Gully course, and Tim did the unbelievable effort of grading the track and making it, getting out a lot of the ruts, make the night loop better, and it also makes the first K or two heading towards the gully nice and easy too, which sometimes that was a bit of a challenge in previous years. So yeah, I like the night loop. The reverse loop, it's not my favourite, but it is what it is. I don't care what loop we do, as long as we're bloody doing a loop. It doesn't matter, whatever. It's all part of it. It's like Clint Eastwood. People don't like the Clint Eastwood because it's sometimes it might be flat, or it might be, out and back at spots that are annoying. But to me, it is what it is. The race provides what the race provides. It still provides the same thing. The growth and the suffering is why we're all there. The atmosphere as well at Dead Cow was bloody, that was good. That was real good. That was, I suppose, because I just come from Sydney, which was, I don't know how many was there, like 460 or 480, which was, I think, the world record in numbers for a Backyard Ultra in Sydney, and that was huge. That one bloody, packed. I remember just seeing the wave of people, and Dead Cow was still had a fair few. There was a lot of, I think, 250 runners plus or something like that. So there was still a lot of runners. So, our tents were pretty well positioned, so I could just squeeze up to the front and take off. So I didn't really get congested too much, as in when we're racing, apart from the reverse loop. When you went to the back of the line, that got a bit annoying on a few spots. So you got stuck behind people on the bridge, and there'd be like a 50-metre line up or whatever. People would walk over the wet bridge, but it doesn't matter anyway. I guess you got to walk and whatever. It's no big deal. Just another thing, like I said, no point getting worried about that. You got to do 100 loops or however many loops you're doing, so there's no point letting that stuff worry you. But yeah, the atmosphere of the actual event was pumping. It was a good event. I knew the hype was good. Everyone was going for records, like as in their personal records. They knew the athletes were there, phenomenal athletes from all around the world. I said the Harvey Lewis, all those guys. The Belgium, Oriel, just so many strong runners, and just other athletes I've run with multiple times too, seen them events. They're all strong runners, so everyone's, it's hard to just, I'm not going to name everyone's name. There's just that many good runners out there, and they're all just pushing above and beyond. And even the ones that you don't know, like, it's so good, you don't even know them, and all of a sudden, 20 hours in, 15 hours, 10 hours, whatever, they're all still charged. And so it's so good to see people just challenging themselves, and that's what I like the last one standings events now so much, because the ego's not there. Like, it's only there at the end, or it can be there throughout the race, but your ego soon gets a big smack it once it realizes it just keeps going. Like there's another loop. So, you can have all your ego you want, but you still got to survive 24 hours of hell. And usually when you look around at 24 hours, you look around and see there's hardly anyone else there. This time was actually a world record from the 24 hours. I think it was like 87 or 86 or something of us, which is the world record for the most amount of people at 24 hours, the 100-mile mark. So that was pretty cool. I could see that happening, that's for sure. And I definitely knew that we're going to break the world record. Nothing's definite, but it was pretty much looking like it was definitely going to, because of the athletes that were in it and all the people like myself that were hungry for it. The other part of the race, I guess I like, is the fires. Tim's a legend, like that always lets me. Anyone that was coming around me with a gazebo, I'd be like, just be careful there, because I'm going to have a raging fire later. And as long as it's in a pit or something, so I always bring me a portable fire pit, and that's awesome. You can just have it cranking, the crew can keep warm, and it's just nice to have the fire to come back to. It keeps everyone cozy, and the warmth around. It gets cold. It wasn't too bad this year, the weather. The actual, the cold snap was the week before, so it didn't hit the minuses. Actually pretty nice running weather. Still got cold in the night, so I always rug up, but I even had on my face balaclavas that bring me, White Kenyan skull mask. I didn't even need them. It was just too hot, as long as I was wearing like a jumper or a long sleeve and pants or whatever, skins. It was actually it was comfortable wearing the gloves, and that's it. Didn't really need face stuff. Just a buff or whatever, so I was using buffs, and what else did we talk about? Let's talk about, I guess, people's falls and rises. They're always a good thing. That's just another topic I had written down. I just looked at then. I just wanted to touch base on that. I guess what I was saying earlier about, seeing people's performances. It's so good. Like it's an inspiration, just seeing people's rises and falls. And I guess something as well I want to kind of talk about, because I do overhear the odd person saying it out there and different things, and is like, the painkillers. Like, and I'm just interested to know, and if people could just, send me some messages and on their take on this about, like, where the regulation of it is, because I know there is no regulation at the moment, because it's not tested. It's not in the, we don't have the WASADA and the drug organisations coming and testing athletes at this point in time. I know Tim tried to get it last year, and it just fell through because they can't pay for the people to just stay out there for days on end, and until it becomes a big enough sport where it can be monitored, it's always going to be at that fine line. But I just know that there's no way that, I've done some mad stuff. Like, I've put up with some pain, and there's times when you just get jacked up where you just like, oh man, it's just something's killing at your back, or whatever, from jolting, or your leg or whatever. Like you start getting jacked up, like, so you're like, all right, I've waited as long as possible. That's what I usually do for me. I just wait till it's just, unless I've got an injury or whatever that's coming on, I'd start taking a Panadol. But other than that, I wait till I really need it, and then when it's aggravating, I'll take a Panadol. But I just get Panadol from the servo or the chemist or whatever, and it's just, it's not even behind the counter stuff. It's just on the shelf, just normal Panadol, and it'll give you a little Band-Aid for an hour or so. You might get two, or it might help, dissipate the problem, and it goes away, and you don't have to take Panadol again for ages, or you might not need it at all. But I just don't see how, like, at these, the level it's getting, that a lot of these athletes that have to be having stronger stuff than normal Panadol. Or I'd be interested to know is, if they are only having normal Panadol, do they set to a set system, like you only wait 2 hours, 3 hours, or whatever it is, but you just constantly keep on top of it, so it doesn't come in at all, the pain? Or I know, don't get me wrong, people can put up with pain way more than others. That's not a thing, but I think as it gets high numbers, the pain's inevitable. Unless you're not human, like it doesn't, which we all are human. That you can't shut every bit of pain out. Like, you can shut it out. Don't get me wrong. You can meditate, do all these things, strategies that can take away a lot of pain, but your body would still be showing signs of more jacked up responses, I believe. And I know there's other people who are out there that I've seen, heard it in the past. I've raced against people in the past that have, taken other drugs that are prescription that are, it's over the counter stuff. So, to me, that's like a disadvantage as well. Like the crew thing, it's like it's nearly cheating to be honest. Like, but and it's okay. It's not cheating because it's not bloody regulated like that. But you've got a massive advantage over someone. If I've got Panadol thing and you're having, Tremanols or something that is a lot stronger than is a prescription, when you're jacked up, your back's hurting, you're suffering, you just smash one of those Tremanols and then whatever, smash a no-dose, you're stimulant and you're not going to feel anything. You're going to be able to run a lot quicker, like, and a lot easier. And then therefore you're a lot stronger and you've got an advantage. And I'm just wondering, is that where it's going, or is that what people are doing? Or, to me, you wonder whether you can get to the point where, you're really not allowed anything, like as in ban everything. You're not allowed a Panadol, and then see how hard you are, or see how hard people are. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, because I just don't see and don't believe that everyone is honest, and I just don't believe that people wouldn't be taking stronger painkillers when they are suffering. And that's something I'd just be interested to hear people's take on. But yeah, anyway, like, it is what it is. At the end of the day, like, those things, drugs, they're not going to save you. I always believe that. I've had people, you should test, what if you had this and that? Like, even if you got on the best gear in the world and you're charged up, super pumped, lap after lap, eventually you come down. It's going to bloody, you're going to go up and down. But my biggest thing is, if they've got a specific plan and they keep on top of it correctly, is it become, a real big advantage over people? And, I guess it's the same with the painkillers, all that kind of stuff, like, is in, eventually, it would wear off and you wouldn't be able to, you would be sore. But if you kept pumping the painkillers in before that point comes, then you'll never really be that sore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's a strategy that could get someone another 20 hours compared to someone that doesn't do that strategy. So that's it. Just something I've always thought about, and it just comes to me every now and then. I just get this feeling. I wonder, thinking, even people I work with say that people must, like, surely there's no way, like, because staying awake for that long. Like, look at me, I lose my mind once you stay awake for 3 days. If you haven't started sleeping correctly, you know what sleep deprivation does. I've been talking about it in the previous episode. So, that's another thing, I guess. If you're taking stimulants that much that you're that awake too, I don't know. But I think, by having too much stimulants as well, without the meditation, you'd end up going a bit nutty anyway and wouldn't be able to be coherent. So you definitely need to sleep. There's no denying that. I think my biggest thing is more of the painkiller interest, to be honest, because, the stimulants, everyone can take the stimulants, the caffeine, you just smash the no-dose if you wanted to, or, smash double caffeine gels. Everyone buys the caffeine powders, the tailwinds and all that stuff. So that's not really my thing. My thing is if you're masking the suffering, so to speak. So anyway, my throat's getting sore and I'm starting to probably ramble and getting sidetracked. But basically, thanks again for another massive suffer fest for Dcg Gully once again. A cracker event. I've been there. I've done every event. I'll be there next year. I love the event and love the community of people. It was just another pleasure seeing people push above and beyond. And yeah, that's it for today, I guess. So catch up soon.